Hey there, and welcome to our sermon recap for this week. This week we talked about what I consider to be one of the most important things we can learn about in our spiritual life, the things that can be most helpful. And it's couched in a story from the New Testament where Jesus and his disciples are eating with some people, and the Pharisees were very upset. The leaders of the church were very upset because they did not wash their hands first in the ceremonial way that they were supposed to, according to the custom of the day. And of course, Jesus was trying to point out that that's really not what spiritual life is about. It's not about these external things that we do, and churches can easily get caught up in things like that, like what clothing you're supposed to wear, what songs you sing, whether you stand or kneel, or what the format of the service is, wear a robe or don't wear a robe, that kind of stuff. And Jesus is saying, really, it's not about that. That's not what this is about. And he says, it's not what enters into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. So what does he mean by that? He's saying, just like our body, we take in food, all kinds of food enters into our mouths, into our stomach, and our bodies take the good stuff and get rid of the stuff we don't need into the sewer, as he says in the text. And what he's saying is that's a picture of our mind. We have all kinds of thoughts flowing into our mind. Things enter in. It doesn't do us any harm, but what does us harm is whether we dwell on it and think about it and delight in it and attach ourselves to it, because then it becomes part of us. So here's a spiritual principle, is that we are a vessel, and flowing into us all the time are thoughts from heaven, from the Lord through heaven, the angels there, and thoughts from hell, from the evil spirits who are there. And they all come into our mind. We've all had that experience where things just come in out of the blue, it seems. But we did not originate those thoughts. They came into our mind. The question of the day is, what are we going to do about it? So that's why the Lord says, it's not what enters into you that defiles you. All kinds of thoughts are going to come in. But what are we going to do with it? So we're actually told that if a thought enters into our mind and we recognize that that is not a good thought, that that's origin of that thought is from hell. If we just said or recognize within ourselves that thought is from hell, the angels who are with us will remove it. And sometimes it takes several efforts, right? And if a thought that comes into our mind is good, like an impulse to maybe help somebody out or say something kind, and we recognize that thought is from heaven, from the Lord, then that thought becomes part of us. It stays with us. It's such an important tool for our spiritual life because it gives us power over our mind, really, over how we behave, because we know that most things begin in our mind, right? Our actions, our behaviors, our intentions. If we dwell on negative things, that eventually will come out in some sort of behavior. If we dwell on positive things or think about positive things and focus on them, that eventually will manifest itself in something positive. So again, that's the topic for this week, a great spiritual tool that we can use. I hope that you will practice it in your life. Just try it a little bit at a time, and it will become a spiritual habit, and it will totally impact how we live our lives. Thank you. Have a great day.